Okay, welcome to the third day of class. You can tell it's the third day because I have a different shirt on, which is actually absolutely nonsense because the English department wants me to film a lot of these ahead of time. So like it's actually I'm doing a lot of this on the same day. I'm just changing my shirt to symbolize a different day, but actually it's all the same day. It's also nice weather outside, so I thought it'd be a good time to come out here and talk to you guys about Play-Doh. This series of videos is going to be a little shorter because I have some videos to show you about Play-Doh that are from an X-Men television show, and there are a couple things that I really love in this world. I love Shakespeare, as you know, um, and I love, I don't know, psychosexual cinema. I love movies that are like kind of fuck with your head a little bit. And if you take my film class, you'll be able to experience that because I have a whole class on sort of psychosexual cinema. But the other thing I really love is the X-Men, and I love the X-Men so much. I got like an X-Men tattoo because I'm a big. This is my Jean Grey situation. Um, Legion is a television show about Charles Xavier's son. So Charles Xavier, X-Men's a superhero team, and Charles Xavier is the professor who founds the team. And of course, I like the X-Men. I'm a bald professor. So of course, Professor Charles Xavier is my very favorite because he is a bald professor who is also running a crazy superhero team out of a school, which is, that's great. I love it. I love the X-Men so much. Legion is a television show that very few people watched, although it's really interesting. Well, it has a very terrible last episode. But it's an interesting television show that is about. It doesn't matter what it's about. It's about Professor Xavier's son. Professor Xavier's son has like weird superpowers that like warp reality, and he can do kind of crazy things. And so the show will every once in a while the show will stop the story to just kind of like teach you some weird philosophy lesson because the show is constantly doing these weird philosophy things. Because the bad guy in the show can kind of like create illusions in your mind, and so he spends a lot of time in the show thinking about illusions and what they mean, and what is reality anyway. And so he has these videos. The TV show has like a story with like fight scenes and everything, but then it'll stop to like teach you a weird lesson about something, the theme of the episode or whatever. And so like 6 of those scenes are gathered together, and I'm going to let you watch them all. But they're interesting. And actually, one of them is literally about Plato's Cave. Like it's called Plato's Cave, and he talks about Plato and Plato's Cave. And I don't know how to tell you this, but like I love superheroes, and if a superhero show is gonna if they're gonna discuss Plato's Cave in an X-Men TV show, that is one of the greatest superhero things ever created. My top superhero things are Logan. I love Legion. Into the Spider-Verse, Ragnarok, Batman Returns from 1992 or 1991. Anyway, those are my favorite superhero things. So I want you to watch those videos because I think they're fun. I think they're interesting, and they're fun and they're interesting. But they're also about Plato, which directly relates to our class, but also it kind of emphasizes a point that I want to make, which is that um, things that are old are actually still relevant, which is about Shakespeare and Plato. So to me, it's interesting that a modern day superhero show is discussing Plato with the audience. I just think that's fascinating that people still even give a shit. And I think it's important, especially for a class like this, that this class isn't just about, look, you pass the class, you get your degree, you make more money. The things in the class matter. Like the stuff that I'm teaching in here, I think it genuinely matters. And I think it'll change the way you look at things. And so just the fact that I love the idea that a student of mine would learn about Plato and then would watch the show and they'd be like, oh shit, that's what Professor Clark taught us. So, I think it's fun to kind of look at it, and it's cool and it's interesting and it's fun and it's weird. It's a really weird show. So yeah, let's take a look at those videos. So there's going to be less videos today for that reason. So now that we've wrapped up Plato, I think I've pretty much had my say. I've said what I wanted to say about Plato. I'm not going to spend like a ton more time on that. I'd like to hear from you in the discussion boards. So I have a discussion board area that's going to be called Plato, and you're going to click on it, and you're going to discuss Plato under his name. And then I'll have the next philosopher, and they'll have a name there on the discussion board, and you can talk about that philosopher. So, go talk about Plato. What should you say? Well, you're going to do your comments you can ask me questions, but also your comments on the discussion boards are going to be sort of like, how do I put this? They're going to be like mini versions of your papers. You're just going to do like, try out a small paragraph in the comments on the discussion board. So what would you do? Well, take a work of art that you care about and let me know what do you think Plato, you've studied Plato now, what do you think Plato would think about something you care about, like a TV show? And then tell me, to what extent do you think Plato's right? Do you think art is a distraction from the real world? Do you think that art gives people dangerous illusions to believe in, and that it's actually like a dangerous thing? And eventually, this will become your paper. You'll have to do papers on this subject. Not on Plato. You can pick what you want to pick for your papers. Plato is an option. Do not write about Hamlet. Hamlet's my thing. And that's our shared class example. Your papers should, I do not want any papers on Hamlet. Do not write a paper about Hamlet. Do not do it. I will send it back. Um, but it's a place to kind of test out your thoughts on this stuff. Because I've said a lot of stuff, and I've used other examples too. You heard me talk about Hollow Knight, so I talked about a video game for a little bit, and so I'd be interested in what you think. And you can disagree with Plato. Please feel free. I disagree with Plato about a lot of things. I'm not giving you these. This isn't in a Bible study class. Usually in a Bible study, the person teaching the Bible study believes the Bible is true. And when you go to Bible study, one of the main things you're doing is the teacher's trying to get you to believe, to get you to these are, let me tell you the things about the Bible that are true. That is not what I'm doing in this class. I do care about this material a lot, but I'm not giving it to you because I want you to agree with it. I'm giving it to you because I think it's important. It helped make the world look the way it does today. And I'm giving it to you because I just think it's worth thinking about. That's very different from agreeing with it. And so spend some time thinking about Plato and the value of realism in art. Is art a copy of reality? Is it a bad copy of reality? Does it misrepresent or distort reality? Is it an illusion that people become obsessed with that screws up their lives? Does it teach people wrong-headed things and then they wander around thinking they know stuff about Satan or whatever, but they actually don't? Does it drag you away from the truth? This whole unit is about the relationship between art and reality. So Plato's answer to that relationship is Plato says, you ask Plato, what's the relationship between art and reality? And Plato will tell you, art is a bad copy of reality. Art distracts us from what we should be paying. Art is evil because it distracts us from studying the things we should be studying, which are philosophical ideas, like truth and beauty and justice, and not fictional characters running around stabbing each other with swords. That's a dumb thing to spend time on, says Plato. So, okay, cool. I think I'm kind of wrapped on Plato, and I think that's it for that. So cool. I'm going to say a little bit more about Hamlet, I think, just as a way of an introduction to thinking about what the hell is going on in Hamlet. I hope you've had a chance to kind of check out Hamlet. No, there's another thing I want to talk about with the with Hamlet. This actually is, sorry, I know what I want to talk about now. This is important. So notice when I was talking about Hamlet, I made a move that a lot of students find difficult to follow. They don't, I think they can see it, but they don't do it because they don't want to do it because it upsets them. But notice what I did. Remember when I said that Hamlet, the character Hamlet, is supposed to kill Claudius and then gets distracted by illusions, by the actors who are pretending to be people on the stage, and it's not real, but they get invested in it, and it distracts them from his mission, right? So that's one way to think about the relationship between Plato and Hamlet, is to say the character in the play is being distracted by illusion in the same way that Plato says people get distracted by illusions. That's fine. You want to do that? That's fine. That's cool. But I did something more advanced next. And it's this advanced move that students don't like to do, but that is vitally necessary, not just in this class, but in all of my classes. It's a move that students hate to make. I then backed up, and I said, at the time the play was being written, many people believed looking at too much art was distracting you from, like, God. Puritans were against all theater everywhere. They literally shut the theater down for like 50 years because they thought it was bad for you. But what I did was I made a move. So I wasn't just talking about the character Hamlet as if he were a real person. I was saying the Shakespeare play relates to the audience in the same way that Plato says the illusions in the cave relate to the people in the cave. So I'm going to talk about this more in the next video. But the point is, don't just talk about art like it's a separate reality where Hamlet is a real human being. It was written by somebody, and there were people in the audience watching it. So you got to talk about that too, and I'll talk about that more in the next video.